Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 20th of December, now it's 15 past 8 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day, in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Usually I do have second and even third updates during the day, at least for the last week, if not a little longer, but today I would not be able to stay that active in the comment section or to work on other additional updates because it's a birthday for my younger daughter, and of course I will spend all day with my family. So I wanted to share this with you so that there will be no confusion why am I not active in the comment section or why am I not uploading additional videos. I will continue work as usual, of course, from tomorrow. And I will not have a day off on Saturday, so I will compensate on Saturday for absence of additional content today. That's been said, let's talk about news now. And before I start, let me remind you, if I may, that I have a channel on Rumble platform also, and if you are watching this video on YouTube, please consider to join our community on Rumble. You can see a link under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. It's important to me because my channel on YouTube is not monetized, but on Rumble it is monetized. So it does make difference. So that's been said. Let's talk about news now. And first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to reports from Russian media and Russian military channels, there was no crucial changes on line of contact during the previous 12 to 24 hours. But let's go sector by sector. Quick summary. So in Kherson direction, situation for Ukrainian forces are becoming more dramatic and difficult as time goes by, day by day. And now even Ukrainian channels are reporting that most likely Kiev regime will be forced to withdraw its units from small footholds that Ukrainian units managed to establish on the left bank of the Dnieper River. First of all, in Krinky area, because it's becoming extremely difficult. It's becoming extremely difficult for Kiev regime to hold on to this small area, and crossing of Dnieper River also did become significantly more challenging because for many reasons, of course, but one of the reasons is that Russian side did introduce a new type of drones to this sector of the front line, even FPV drones with night vision equipment, and Ukrainian forces are unable to move around safely or cross Dnieper River in more or less safe conditions, even at night time. So casualty numbers during the crossing are increasing even more, and there are so many videos on internet in confirmation of this, when entire units of Ukrainian forces have been neutralized even before they reach left bank of Dnieper River. Periodically I do share videos on my Telegram also, and yesterday I did share a video just to highlight situation in Kherson direction, what really is happening to Ukrainian units when they are trying to cross Dnieper River. So it's quite possible that before end of this year Ukrainian units will withdraw from Krinky area, and maybe even from areas right next to destroyed Antonovsky Bridge and the railway bridge. If even Ukrainian channels are beginning to report about this possibility, then I guess situation for Ukrainian forces are even more difficult than we can imagine. Overall situation is also, of course, under full Russian control, and nothing is happening in Kherson direction that can influence overall situation in immediate future. Russian forces are in complete charge in that sector. When it comes to Zaporozhye sector of the front line, yesterday Ukrainian forces, during the previous 12 to 24 hours, let's say this way, Ukrainian forces did try to conduct yet another this suicidal local-scale counteroffensive in Rabotino area, which is Orekhov bridgehead. And according to reports that I see, during this offensive, local-scale offensive, Ukrainian forces used one T-72 tank and 3 Leopard 2 tanks with manpower, of course, and almost straight away, once this armored unit of Ukrainian forces began moving forward, T-72 was destroyed, and Leopard 2, crews of Leopard 2s, maybe they did scare, maybe they did realize that further advancement will eventually end exactly the same way as for T-72s, and they just stop advancing and return to their positions. Russian forces were shelling areas where these Leopard 2 tanks were trying to hide, and possibly one or all of them were destroyed, but I did see video confirmation of destruction of just that T-72 tank. So yet another suicidal local-scale counteroffensive of Ukrainian forces in Rabotino area failed as it was expected. And in general, it's Russian forces that are on offensive in Orekhov bridgehead territory. And Russian forces are advancing not just in Rabotino direction, but also from Verbovo area and also from Pokrovka area. And maybe we are seeing beginning of the operations now from Russian side to encircle Orekhov, Ukrainian grouping of forces in Orekhov bridgehead. Let's see how intense Russian military operations will be in this area, Pokrovka area. Overall, of course, situation is under full Russian control, and if any side is capable to conduct successful offensive operations, it's Russian forces, undoubtedly. And of course, artillery duels between the sides, artillery duels and the drone wars, in which Russian forces definitely have an upper hand. When it comes to Sovdanetsk sector of the front line, last week, more than a week, main hotspot is of course Novomikhailivka settlement, and according to some reports, some unconfirmed reports, Russian forces already did establish control over the eastern part of this settlement, and now Russian forces advancing in direction of north of this village, and also from Marinka area, which is Donetsk. Of course, Donetsk sector of the front line. Russian units are beginning to advance, prepare ground for offensive operations in direction of Konstantinovka and Paraskoyevka. So situation for Ukrainian forces in this in Sovdanetsk sector is becoming more and more difficult. If you take a look at the map, dear friends, you can clearly see that if Russian forces, and when Russian forces will establish control over the Novomikhailivka, Paraskoyevka and Konstantinovka, then basically Russian forces will be able to cut entire this square here, entire this southern eastern part of Sovdanetsk direction, from let's say Konstantinovka to Ugledar, maybe even towards up to Vremovsky salient area. And I remind you that last several weeks it was Russian forces that were conducting local scale offensive operations and improving their positions in Vremovsky salient area, and Russian forces are locked and ready to establish control over the Staromayorskaya, Urozhaynaya, Makarovka, all these settlements that was lost during this so-called Ukrainian counteroffensive in this sector of the front. So we may see in upcoming days, weeks, even before end of this month, significant intensification of clashes in Sovdanetsk sector of the front line, with a very significant improvement of Russian positions. When it comes to Donetsk sector of the front line, usually most active sector, of course, there is two main hotspots, Avdiivka direction and Bakhmut direction. In both areas, Russian forces are in advance. In Avdiivka, at this point, clashes are taking place in residential areas. I did see yesterday photo material of this chemical plant in Avdiivka, which is almost obliterated after heavy bombing, and I didn't share that photo because I was not quite sure if it was definitely this plant, but if it was, then almost nothing is left from this plant. Ukrainian forces is gonna find it extremely difficult to hold on to any positions any longer in that area. And I guess yet again before end of this year, probably northern industrial zone in Avdiivka will become under Russian control. Although yet again there is no rush for Russian forces. There is no need to rush any developments. Russian forces can take time, but because Avdiivka for quite a while now is in operational encirclement, Avdiivka garnison experiencing severe lack of reinforcement, severe lack of munition, and any supplies whatsoever. And because morale of Ukrainian forces are quite low, I expect that big Ukrainian units will lay down arms and surrender in upcoming days. And I would not be surprised at all if Russian side will manage to establish, if not complete or at least partial control over the Avdiivka city itself before end of December. And when it comes to Bakhmut, direction, Russian forces are advancing on both flanks, on the northern flank and southern flank. And latest report that I see is that Russian forces establish control over the not just over the heights in the northern part of Klishchiivka, but over the Klishchiivka settlement itself, which is formally in the gray zone. So northern part of Klishchiivka is also under Russian control now, and clashes are taking place in Andreevka settlement area. I do share on regular basis videos from southern flank of Bakhmut, where Russian forces definitely are neutralizing significant number of Ukrainian units. When it comes to northern sector, northern flank of Bakhmut, of course, main axis of Russian offensive is this village here, Bogdanovka, and some military channels are even reporting that basically Russian forces began preparation, off the ground, to conduct offensive operations in direction of Chisov Yar, which will happen from the northern part of from the northern side, because Chisov Yar city itself, even though it's hardly defendable, it's on high ground. It's still on high ground, and that's one advantage that Ukrainian garrison in Chisov Yar has. And to minimize this advantage, Russian forces will approach Chisov Yar first of all from the northern side, which is also on high ground. So I expect that main attention of Russian units will be in Bogdanovka direction, Kalinivka direction, and Grigorievka direction, and then we will see direct assault on Chisov Yar itself. But this is in January. This will most likely happen in January. Before that, Russian side will probably continue to prepare ground for this offensive. And when it comes to northern sectors of the front line, from Seversk to Kupiansk, yet again, in Krasnolyman direction, of course, fights are very intense between the sides, and for last several days, Ukrainian armed forces losing more manpower on Krasnolyman direction, more than in the Donetsk sector of the front line even, which definitely indicates that Russian side did begin final preparations of the ground for large-scale offensive operations. That's the only explanation I have to somehow read this picture, why this sector becomes so active lately. And when it comes to Kupiansk, direction, Russian forces for quite a while are locked and ready to begin offensive operations here in direction of Kupiansk, and all they need is a green light from Russian general stuff. I expect a large-scale Russian offensive to begin towards end of January, in the first half of February. Although I'm always highlighting or noting that I'm not military expert, and my understanding of situation, my reading of big picture can be mistaken. After all, it's a matter of it's military stuff, and you have to be military expert to understood extremely well what's really going on. So overall, Russian forces are in charge all along the front line. Initiative is in Russian hands for a long time now, and Ukrainian forces have no chance to regain initiative on any of the sectors of the front line. Operational pause is holding, and as I said, Russian forces are in a final phase of preparation of the ground for a large-scale offensive operations. This is it when it comes to a short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. And before I continue, I have to say thank to all of you for your time, for your attention, for likes, comments, and of course special thank to members of our community who supports my work with donations through PayPal, Buy Me Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. Without you, of course, this project would not exist, and I would not have this unique opportunity to work as a citizen journalist. So thank you very much. I'm truly grateful for your support. Let's continue now, and RT is reporting that according to Russian president, Russia has the initiative in Ukraine conflict and basically free hand to conduct operations as it wants, said Russian president yesterday during his speech in Defense Ministry's meeting. I did report about this meeting yesterday in two separate videos. Putin made quite significant statements, and if you have not seen yet yesterday's videos, please check those videos out. I did made separate video on Putin's statement about Western Ukraine, and my understanding of that statement was that Russian president basically indirectly at least green-lighted Polish occupation of the Western Ukraine territories that used to belong to Poland before Second World War. And I also uploaded yesterday separate video, short video about statements of Russian Defense Ministry on very same event, when he spoke about a few dozens of important topics. So you can check those videos, you may find it interesting. And when it comes to this particular news, of course, Russian president is correct. Initiative is in Russian hands all along the front line, and it's up to Russian general staff in which direction, and what kind of military operations will take place in upcoming days, weeks, and months. Also, yesterday, during his speech on very same event in Defense Ministry, Shoigu did stated, and I spoke about it yesterday in a separate short update. Shoigu did said that Russian army is most combat ready and most powerful at this point, and 650,000 Russian military personnel did gain combat experience by participating in special military operations. And one may don't like this, or one may like this, but that's true. Like it or not, but this is definitely true. At this point, Russian armed forces probably are most battle ready and most capable in the entire world, because nothing can be as valuable for military as a combat experience. You're not gonna gain this type of experience by conducting some war games. It's very different stuff. And in this regard, Shoigu is of course correct. He did spoke about many other topics. For example, he said that NATO troops are directly involved in Ukrainian conflict, and he specified that air defense systems in Ukraine and missile systems in general are under control of NATO military personnel. I did spoke about it also in yesterday's short video, among many other topics that Shoigu did mention. And it's absolutely correct. I remind you that on 14th of December, according to many reports, Russian side conducted strike on one of the military bases in one of the airfields in Kiev-controlled territory, and according to information that I see, during that strike, more than 20 Ukrainian high-ranking officials, military officers, and 12 NATO officers were neutralized, and those NATO officers were from Czech Republic and from Poland. So there are factual evidence. I'm quite sure Defense Ministry has factual evidence that NATO military personnel is operating in Ukraine. Once this conflict will end, I guess Russian Defense Ministry will share with us, with public, significant volume of information about special military operation that may be even shocking about level of involvement of NATO in this crisis. RIA Novosti is reporting that, well, according to former parliament member in Ukraine, Igor Lapin, Ukrainian society is in shock and disbelief because of the failure of Ukrainian counteroffensive. Can you imagine level of control of information in Ukraine that many people just now realizing that their counteroffensive of Kiev regime failed. So that's a reference point for you, what kind of situation or atmosphere is in Ukraine, that people, significant number of people, have no idea what's going on. And they were under so much influence of local propaganda that they truly believed that they're gonna not just cut that land bridge between Crimea and the mainland Russia, but also establish control over the Crimea. And now, once they began realizing that none of it happened and none of it even had a slight chance to become reality, well, according to this MP, Igor Lapin, society is in kind of disbelief, and in the press, society is in disbelief and are depressed very much, which is, well, quite understandable. But yet again, people have to, I don't know, man, people have to find ways to get to, some real news, to learn some real news, and to really understand what the hell is going on. Because if they are just watching or reading propaganda of Kiev regime, and they're gonna end up being depressed and in disbelief many more times. Yeah. Also, RT is reporting that Czech leader, president of Czech Republic, warns Kiev and the Western collective West, I guess, that significant shift may take place in 2024 in regards to Ukraine, when in regards to approach to Ukraine. And according to him, Russia is counting on Donald Trump's return into White House. Well, Petr Pavel, that's president of Czech Republic, who said this kind of stuff. And well, I don't think Russia is counting on any development in US. Really, Russia is in charge and was in charge always. point is that Western ruling elites at some point began to believe their own propaganda, and the Western public is also under significant part of majority of Western public is also under influence of Western propaganda, and for them it may be very depressing that that their hopes didn't realize, or their dreams to defeat Russia, to destroy Russia, and so on. But well, they should be more realistic, really, more realistic. And when it comes to this topic, many people are trying to push this narrative that Trump is some kind of ally for Russia, and this Russiagate stuff, you know, this total BS stuff that was generated by Hillary Clinton's camp, and then entire neoliberal and even neocon groups began pushing this narrative of Russiagate and how Trump is a Russian asset or ally of Russia and so on. Oh, this is of course nonsense. This is all nonsense. Trump, he is quite clear in his statements, isn't it? First, what he cares about is to make US better state again, improve US as much as he can, as much as administration can. And well, how you gonna criticize someone for that kind of statements? He wants his own country to be number one for government of US, for state institutions, and then rest of the world. And that's the right approach, because I want my government here to have exactly the same approach. I want they to care about Russia first and Russian citizens, and then if there is opportunity to support other states, let's do it, of course. That's the only right approach. But in US, for whatever reason, man, Trump been called, I don't know, man, Nazi, fascist, ultra-right, radical, you name it, man. He was called everything just for saying some quite obvious stuff. That US government, first of all, have to care about US citizens and US interests, and then some global stuff. So President of Czech Republic very much mistaken if he thinks that Trump is some kind of ally of Russia. Trump may have a talk with Putin, which is always good. Nuclear superpowers should always talk. And there is definitely topics of discussion between the sides. There are many topics that Moscow and Washington can cooperate for a better security of the Russia, US, and the world in general. And well, if Trump will be re-elected, I believe relationships will improve. But exactly because new administration will be concentrated on strategic interests of US, and in that case, of course, they will see that it's necessary to have working relationships with their other major powers in this world. That's it, really. So this scare tactic of neocons, Russophobes, and so on, that Trump will, you know, become a president, and he will do this and he will do that. All that is, I don't know, man. Not serious stuff, really. And one should always remember that presidents come and go in US, but the deep state is almost the same always. So if Trump will even be re-elected, it's not going to be easy right for him to achieve any changes inside the US itself, because deep state will oppose him very much if he will try to do some invoke some changes in state institutions and in bureaucracy there. Let's continue. And Israel did make statement that they are ready for a temporary pause, humanitarian pause in the Gaza Strip. This was stated by Yitzhak Herzog, president of Israel. Well, Let's hope in upcoming days there will be at least temporary truce in Gaza Strip. It will be very helpful for peaceful residents that are experiencing immense difficulties, of course, in the Gaza Strip. Also, TASS news agency is reporting that this night and possibly these hours, Israeli army is storming Tubas and Tamun settlements, and this is not the Gaza Strip. This is West Bank. And well, as I did said quite a few times, some people may think that military operations are taking place just in the Gaza Strip, and mainly, yes, main direction of Israeli military operations are Gaza Strip. Israeli forces are very active in shelling of northern Lebanon, or southern Lebanon, sorry. And same time, Israeli forces are constantly conducting some military operations on a lower scale in comparison to Gaza, of course, but still, nevertheless, it's military operations in the West Bank. And in this particular case, these two settlements, Tubas and Tamun, have been attacked. And I remind you, dear friends, that according to Health Ministry of Palestine, in West Bank, more than 300 Palestinian civilians have been killed as a result of actions of Israeli security forces. TASS news agency is reporting that, based on article in Bloomberg, that world for at least several weeks may lose trade routes through Red Sea, which is which is true. At this point, it's definitely true, because major shipping companies already made statements that they will divert their ships from Red Sea, and now these freight ships will go all around the African continent, which will make, of course, transport fee and the price of goods significantly higher in upcoming weeks, possibly even months. It all depends how long this crisis in the Red Sea will continue. I hope Iran will intervene and will use its influence over the Houthi rebels to make sure that they will stop firing at civilian ships in the Red Sea, because this topic may be used by US and some other NATO member states to deploy additional forces in the Middle East, formally to secure shipping in the Red Sea. But in reality, who knows what will be real purpose of this deployment of additional military force, warships, manpower, and so on. And yesterday we already had statements from Lloyd Austin that US, with the coalition of about 10 countries, will achieve agreement to begin military operation in the Red Sea area to protect shipping. And well, I guess Iran did see threat in all this development, because under agenda of securing shipping, US and the other NATO member states may bring additional force to eventually maybe use against, who knows, Lebanon, or maybe Iran itself. So I believe it's in best interests of Tehran to somehow influence Houthi rebels and persuade them to stop attacking these civilian ships. It never was a right decision. It never was justified. And it does generates more problems for region and more risks for region, undoubtedly. And well, Houthi rebels have to stop, man. There can be no other opinion here. They are fighting at civilian ships, man. What is that? Let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that Japan is government of Japan is not happy and are calling unjustified position of Russia that issue of Kuril Islands is close, and Moscow sees no topic to discuss with Tokyo in this regard. And well, what you gonna say, man? Cold water may help, and Japanese government can use this tip. They can drink some cold water, if they are too upset about it. But well, Moscow made his position clear. There is no such a topic as Kuril Island to discuss with Japan. There is nothing to discuss there. So yet again, cold water may help for to Japanese leadership. They can try it. RT is reporting that U.S. national debt jumps 2.6 trillion in just 6 months. At this point, probably we get used to this unbelievable number, so much so that we are no longer surprised when we hear this information. But well, it's still, huge, isn't it? Overall figure is approaching 34 trillion when it comes to U.S. national debt, and this is according to Treasury. So this is U.S. Treasury. So this is official. I don't know how long this will continue, but at some point, Washington may find it difficult to service this level of debt, because they have to pay interest, isn't it? As long as Washington is able to pay interest for so much money that have been borrowed internally or outside of US, as long as they pay interest, system is working. But at some point, this interest payment is gonna be so high that Washington will end up on the brink of how you say it, default, and that may definitely devastate not just the US economy, but economy worldwide. So something definitely has to be done to influence this situation, because it cannot go forever this way. Nost is reporting that trade turnover between Russia and India will be on record level this year, which is not surprising at all. At this point, China and India are major trade partners with Russia, and I expect trade between the sides to increase even further, significantly, much more than it is now in upcoming years. And I expect same time this northern-southern route from Russia to Iran to become also major trade direction, major trade route also, which will benefit both countries for billions and billions in upcoming years. Also, information that Russia now is the biggest export market for Chinese car. Not surprisingly, absolutely not surprisingly, because as I said many times previously in previous updates, once foreign car makers from collective West, let's say from Europe, US, Japan or South Korea, make decision under pressure of their governments, of course, to leave Russian market, Chinese car manufacturers had a celebration, man, because they knew straight away there is huge market is waiting for them. And it did not take long before Chinese companies flooded Russian market with their production, and they are not just exporting cars, but they are building manufacturing capacities inside the Russia to make sure that for a time when relationships between Russia and collective West began normalizing, and these foreign or Western car manufacturers will try to reestablish their positions in the Russian market, they will find it packed. They will find it extremely difficult to find the place, establish themselves again on the market. And it is going to be difficult, man. It is going to be difficult because 20, 30, 40 years ago, Chinese car manufacturers may were not in the position to compete with the South Korean, Japanese, or German car manufacturers, or US car manufacturers. But now Chinese companies are producing some quite decent cars, man. Quite decent cars. In all segment, in budget segment, medium price segment, and in high-end segment. So Western companies or car manufacturers of the collective West definitely gonna find it difficult to reestablish themselves on Russian market whenever relationships between Moscow and Western capitals began normalizing. I don't know, in 3, 5, 10 years time, whenever it will happen. And RT is reporting that Russia and China are no longer using dollar in a trade. That was stated by Prime Minister of Russia, Mikhail Mishustin, in China. He is in China now, and he had a meeting with a Chinese colleague and also with the leader of China, Xi Jinping, and significant topics were discussed during those meetings, I'm quite sure. And yet again, this information only confirms that relationships between Russia and China are on top level, and developing in very fast rate. And countries basically drop dollar in trade between each other. And of course, Chinese yuan is now main currency in trade, but Russian ruble also. If I remember correctly, percentage point is somewhere around 70-30. 70% of trade done in yuans, if I'm not mistaken, 30% about in rubles. So approximately like that. There may be, I don't know, man, 1, 2%, 3%, 5% possibly that are still trade is done in other currencies, but mainly sites are using their own national currency in trade. And this is gonna be last news for today's short update, I hope, relatively short update. 42 minutes, okay, I can live with that. I hope you will find this video interesting, and if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and share video with your friends. And if you can, what I was planning to say, man, I forget. But anyway, let me remind you, dear friends, that oh yes, if you can, dear friends, let me remind you that I have a channel on Rumble also, and I would be immensely grateful if you will consider to join our Rumble community if you are watching this video on YouTube. And also, before I end this video, once again, I will note that today I would not be able to stay active in the comment sections or to make additional videos, additional content. But I will compensate for it on Saturday. I would not have a day off Saturday, so that's been said. I wish you a great day. And take care. See you soon.